Those little dancing PBGs are like my favorite emote. Yeah, it goes great with this fucking chiptune music we're listening to. Love this station. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. That's the right button there. Hey guys, welcome back to the Aku stream, the show, the Aku show, starring, well, it has me. Tonight, starring my wife, as we are playing more The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. And she does at least the second main character's voice now. I like the way it looks like Reika's little angry brown frogman is playing the drums for this song. Very, oh no, hold on. Okay, now say something.
I'm able to use that one because I was gifted a sub.
Oh. But it looks very, like Enchanted Tiki Room. The drummers. Alright, anyway, it's enough bullshitting around, even though we didn't do anything. Oh yes, okay. Playing more Great Ace Attorney Chronicles tonight. Welcome back to the Aku stream. I'm Akure. We're gonna be lawyering it up. Hopefully we finally make it to London this time, especially since I put London in the title. It's a reference to, An American Werewolf in London. So we got a Japanese lawyer in London now is the name of the stream. Drinking, well, this one's almost done, but I got another one in the fridge. But homemade frozen pina coladas by my wife, and it's very good. She's actually drinking alcohol right now, which is very unusual.
I like cocktails.
It's true. I like a good cocktail. All right, let's get into the game. I'm live right now on YouTube and Twitch. If you like what you see at all, consider giving me a follow. Even if you're watching this way in the future, I don't care. I actually got a follow after the last stream. Made me very happy.
Make sure to tell us if anything's wrong with the stream, since I won't be paying much attention to it.
Oh, that's right. You're going to be paying more attention to the gameplay itself.
Yeah.
The Adventure of the Runaway Room.
A runaway
Glancing
room.
over my records of the late last century, I am faced by the events of a certain bitter winter. A murder in a carriage as it sped through dense London fog in the dead of night. Though the victim and the perpetrator were the only ones inside, there were multiple witnesses to the crime itself. However, none could have imagined at the time that such a seemingly obvious case as this would end in such a horrendous manner. My friend, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, once said of the incident, I believe that perhaps that case was indeed the prelude. The beginning of a long concerto that impressive Japanese student and I were to play together.
Oh, you can't hear me very well?
Yeah, I don't want to end any scenes, so.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Amazing. Is this really just a railway station?
Railway station or not, I've never seen such an enormous building before.
And look at all the steam locomotives. This country is incredible.
I feel like I'm dreaming.
So this is the capital of Great Britain.
Hey, we did make it to London.
So, where to?
Oh, hello.
Climb aboard. I'll take you wherever you want to go.
In that case, the Supreme Court in Whitehall, if you wouldn't mind.
My pleasure. I suppose you're visiting students from abroad, eh?
Yes.
Thought so. Well then, I hope you enjoy your stay. And welcome to the centre of the world, Great Britain's mighty capital,
Yeah.
London.
I'm excited for them, boys.
You finally made it!
Oh shit, that's cool looking.
Okay, the game also needs to be louder. Flip.
Okay. Okay, that should be better there now. Yeah, the sound setting for the desktop was much lower. I was afraid to click off the screen in case something changed.
We should test my audio. Am I good?
Oh yeah, you look to be good now.
Okay. Gas. What
an...
an-
No, it's me. What an incredible place.
It's so imposing. It's almost suffocating.
This place is breathtaking. It looks like a fortress.
There are some stone buildings like this in Japan now, of course. But they've only been built in the few short decades since we opened our borders to the outside world. An authentic example like this has quite a different impact, wouldn't you agree? A far cry from the wood and paper most of our buildings are constructed from.
It's certainly unfamiliar. But I think there's more to the differences than just construction materials. What is this place again?
This is the Lord Chief Justice's office, Naruhodo-san, in the Supreme Court of Great Britain.
And look at all these dangerous places where one can lose a limb. In the background. The Lord Chief Justice.
We had instructions to report here at this time. If circumstances were different, we were supposed to let the Lord Chief Justice know that we had arrived from Japan.
But Cosmo can't.
No. So instead, we are here in a different capacity. As envoys, to report the news, envoys, to report the news of Kazuma-sama's death. This is so depressing.
Yeah.
And having delivered his or her message, an envoy's duty is done.
So we'd have to return to Japan.
If we want to remain here in Great Britain,
I have have to take Cosmo's place as the law student selected for the study tour.
Yes, which means you need the requisite qualification as a lawyer.
Which is what I've been studying for.
Here in Great Britain, it is the Lord Chief Justice who appoints lawyers. So that's the second reason why we're here, to have you officially recognized as a lawyer. It's the only way that we'll be able to remain here in London.
Sure up, I'm up to scratch.
We don't-
Be like, oh, good morning. Sorry for keeping you. Okay, no, that was not
He
this
looked
guy's
cool.
voice. Yeah, no, this guy's way cooler. Oh. Probably gonna be something like, I trust you aren't too exhausted after your long voyage from Japan.
Oh, he's Kazuma now?
No, he's got a more gruff voice. Not to mention, we're not going to be hearing Kazuma much anymore. It seems I'm 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 47 seconds late. My apologies. Oh, no, don't mention it. We're never happier than when we're standing around with nothing much to do. How unfortunate.
How fortunate.
Oh, or that too, fortunate.
Strongheart.
So, introductions. I am Mael Strongheart, Lord Chief Justice of the British Empire. And I feel like a little mouse under an elephant's foot.
Come on, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't be a mouse.
Oh, it's an honor to meet you, Lord Chief Justice Strongheart. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo from the Empire of Japan. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, welcome to London, the capital of our glorious British Empire. Yes, thank you.
Man, I wish when I went to London that we had gears rotating like this when I visited.
So, what are your impressions of our capital so far? How do you like London? Oh, well, I've been so nervous ever since I got here that I can't remember a single thing about the city.
It's simply splendid, isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh?
We had a wonderful view of some of London's streets from the carriage on the way here from the station. Everything is so impressive and grand. I must say, I'm almost lost for words.
I'm glad to hear you like it. The city boasts tramways, piped water and gas, even cables supplying electricity. We spearhead every revolutionary new technology in the world. Every visitor to London is astounded.
Oh yes, astounded is the word.
Thanks for saving me there, Sasato-san.
And everyone seems so jolly and full of vigor.
Yes. There's much excitement about the upcoming Great Exhibition we will be hosting here in London. Great Exhibition? Cultural and technological achievements from around the globe are to be exhibited here in our great city. It will be the greatest spectacle of its kind in history, and will make Paris's World Fair look like a toy shop.
Gosh, I can hardly imagine how magnificent it's going to be.
Great Britain's capital city is nothing but magnificent. London is the center of the modern world. Even if you do say so yourself. The sun will never set on our great empire.
Perhaps it is fate that in these progressive times we welcome visitors from the land of the rising sun.
Lord Chief Justice, I think you were expecting a student of law for the study tour, weren't you?
Absolutely. A Mr. Kazuma Sogi, if my memory serves.
That's right.
The British government has already been telegraphed a full report on the situation. I understand the young man lost his life aboard the steamship bound for our shores.
It's amazing. The news reached him even before we arrived.
My country naturally extends its deepest condolences to yours.
Oh, thank you.
And you honored this appointment specifically to inform me of the news?
Yes. We are here in the capacity of envoys from Japan to report the sad news in person.
They tell me you Japanese are a people...
Whoa, I still don't like that.
Are a people of protocol and courtesy, and I see that it's true. And it is with some regret that I must inform you that the death of the young lawyer means this study tour arrangement can no longer proceed.
If you would just hear us out, Lord Strongheart.
What do you have to say, madame?
It's about the study tour. Mr. Naruhodo here would like to make a proposal.
Oh, on that echo, Cody Cat. You might get an echo on me if I end up yelling or getting real loud because of Reika's mic. So let me know though if it's happening like all the time or only just in like really loud parts.
Woody now. Well, Mr. Naruhodo.
This is it then. The moment of truth. The thing is, Lord Justice, or Lord Strongheart, I was wondering if perhaps you would consider allowing the study tour to go ahead.
Don't underestimate me. Britain would ideally like to see the tour go ahead. But without a lawyer from your country, there's nothing to be done.
Well, in that case, what if there was someone else? Another lawyer from Japan, I mean.
Thoughts? Is there something I don't know? Only a single lawyer was invited to Great Britain from your country. And that was Mr. Asogi. At least, that is what I've been led to understand.
Well, the thing is... Oh, this really isn't going well at all. I just can't seem to find the right words to say to this man.
Mr. Naruhodo.
I could ruin things here if I'm not careful. What am I gonna say? There is someone else here from Japan who could be described as a lawyer. It's... Actually, there's no one. Credits roll.
You say it's Miss Sato.
It's me. I can do it.
Is that so?
Oh my
Dots? I mean, I don't actually have any qualifications as such, but...
No qualifications, you say? And yet you still claim to be a lawyer.
I have acted as a lawyer in court before. Only once. As it happens, and I had Cosmo to help me. And I was the accused, for glossing over the details.
Thoughts?
I've been spending every spare moment on the journey here to Great Britain studying. I've learned all about British law and court proceedings while I was on board the SS Buria.
The voyage from Japan is some 50 days, I believe. Not what you might call a full education. To become a qualified lawyer here in Britain, not only do you need a university degree in law, you must also complete several years of training.
I realize it's far too short a period of time, but I can't just go back to Japan.
That's...
Kazuma, Mr. Asogi's journey had only just begun. Coming here on the study tour was all he thought about. I have to carry on and do everything he planned to do. I know it must sound like I have an overly inflated opinion of myself, but I would do anything to prove that I have what it takes. Any test you care to set to me. Just one chance. That's all I'm asking for. Please.
Very passionate.
31 seconds.
Sorry?
Your opening statement there, Mr. Naruhodo, was 31 seconds long. Not too brief, not too protracted, a perfectly judged appeal, I would say. Which is a skill that would stand you in good stead as a lawyer.
Oh, thanks.
So, you're willing to put these words to trial, are you? Well, I'm all for entertainment.
Uh-huh.
What's going on?
But let me ask you one thing first, sir.
Yes?
You say you intend to do everything Mr. Asogi planned to do. Are you firmly set on that path?
Well, yes. That is my intention.
I see.
Am I imagining things? Or did his expression just alter a fraction there all of a sudden?
Very well. You have your wish. I'll give you a chance. A test to become a specially certified lawyer. Whether you pass or fail is entirely down to you.
Really?
Oh dear.
So, what form will the test take exactly?
Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, what do you consider the role of a lawyer to be?
Well, defending people, of course.
Well said. So, let's have you defend someone.
Huh? Okay, pocket watches do not make that noise when you wind them.
Your timing is perfect, in fact. There's an apt trial about to begin later today. No advocate has been appointed for the defenses yet, so this will be welcome news.
Today?
Straight away?
If you manage to secure a verdict of not guilty, you will have passed my test. What could be simpler?
How do I get myself into these situations?
I questioned that too. Well, could I ask, what sort of trial is it, Lord Strongheart?
Yes, good question. I remember. It's a murder trial.
A murder? Again?
It's pretty fucked up that I would be given to some random ass person. Like, that should be against their rights. I'm not fully certified.
An extremely simple case, I understand. You really can't lose.
That's easy to say.
But I should mention, just in case, if the defendant is found guilty, he will of course be sentenced to capital punishment.
Capital punishment? He'll be put to death?
Here in Great Britain, murderers are sent to the gallows without exception. Presumably, you read that much in your short C-based introduction to British law.
We can't possibly agree to such a test. We would be toying with a man's life.
I am the Lord Chief Justice, and I've decided it's acceptable.
But you can't do that, can you?
There's no need to overcomplicate this. All you have to do is ensure that you don't lose.
The defendant may live or die, depending on how well I perform in court. If I lose, he'll be hanged. Hunged.
Mr. Naruhodo, you've come to me claiming to be a lawyer. If you want me to take you seriously, you need to prove you're willing to do a lawyer's job. And you say you intend to see through the will of your compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would like to understand just how far you're willing to go in order to make that happen.
He's testing my resolve.
What's the matter? You've fallen silent. I'm sorry, but time is pressing. The trial begins shortly. I need an answer from you now. What is it to be?
Dots.
Do it.
What do I say? Do I agree to this absurd test?
Yes.
All right then. If I have to give you my decision now, my answer is I can't do it. I can't get the words out.
15 seconds.
Your decision making needs work if you want to be a lawyer.
That was too slow.
So, it's as I suspected, is it? Huh?
You have noble intentions, but lack the resolve to see them through.
Dots?
The test is cancelled. Thank you for stopping by. Go and acquire your ticket for passage back to the east tomorrow. This conversation is over.
Yes, Lord Strongheart. Thank you for offering me a chance.
Mr. Naruhodo.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Sato, but what can I do?
It's all right. I understand.
You do?
It's not an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances. But resolve has absolutely nothing to do with it.
What are you trying to say, madame?
Dots. I think what Miss Sasato-san means is that no matter how badly I'd like to be recognized as a lawyer and stay here in Great Britain, to risk another man's life by treating this one and only chance at a trial so trivially would be utterly unforgivable, and I feel exactly the same way. I'm sure the defendant won't see this trial as a test, as some kind of experiment.
A lot of dots.
A lawyer may fight for his clients in court day after day, but for each one of those clients, the particular day they stand in the dock may be the only chance they have to fight to prove their innocence. No, I was wrong. I'm not qualified to do that job yet. I'm sorry for wasting your precious time, Lord Chief Justice.
Wait, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, was there something else?
It's approximately 20 minutes by carriage to the Old Bailey from here. If you leave immediately, you should still be there in time.
But I just said that.
I was quite serious in what I told you.
The defendant in this case
has literally no one to advocate for him.
What?
At this point, he can't hope to find someone to represent him. The trial will begin without a defense. And if that happens, there's only one possible outcome. He will receive the most severe sentence the judge can pass down.
But that's awful.
But that is the truth.
Why does it have to be like this?
Please don't expect an answer to every question. The cold, hard truth of the matter is that there is only one person now who has a chance to save this man from a very miserable end. And that is you.
It really is only hope. Well, this guy's fucking screwed.
So, what do you say now, madam?
Me? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart?
You said it wasn't an easy decision to choose whether to defend a man in these circumstances, and I agree. But in my estimation, it is purely and simply a matter of resolve.
Oh.
Our time here is up. I have a meeting to attend. I must leave in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. So, venture into our great city and enjoy yourselves.
I guess we have to go save a man's life.
Well, we still have the choice to do it or not.
He's gone.
The Old Bailey.
If you're going to do this, Mr. Naruhodo, we must leave at once. Guess we're going. The Old Bailey.
Yep.
Don't forget to get your other one.
I won't. I'm about to step right now and get the another drink. Just a second. Hell yeah, boys. Another full
You want to
glass of
stir it.
pina colada.
You want to stir it.
Okay, I'm stirring. I still have a tiny bit left in this. I'll just combine them. A cold icy drink may not be the best drink for doing voices, but I hope we don't see Lockhart too much. That voice is actually a little bit strenuous. Not Lockhart, Strongheart.
Oh, thank goodness, we're in time. There's still 15 minutes until the trial begins. Wow, we got there fast.
I never knew a horse-drawn carriage could go so fast. I thought my teeth were going to rattle loose.
Did you hear what I said to the driver when we climbed aboard? Get us to our destination in 5 minutes, driver, and there's a guinea. A what? In it for you? How do you say? What is that?
Yeah, a guinea.
Okay, it's one of my favorite lines from the Herlock Sholmes stories, and it worked quite perfectly. I wondered if we got there really fast.
I'm not sure why you're so pleased. I thought we were going to die, and we had to pay gold for the privilege.
Well, at least you arrived here before the trial started.
Yes, I suppose there's that.
Anyway, I don't understand it. The court clerk said that the defendant should be here. But there's no sign of him at all.
This is the Old Bailey. Even this room for defendants to wait in is grand. Look at the mustache game on that guy in the back there.
Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo?
I'm feeling tense, that's all. This place gives me the same sense of foreboding that I remember from the Supreme Court in Japan. An oppressive air, almost as if the building itself is going to crush whoever is about to be sentenced. Feels like only yesterday that I was the one about to be crushed.
Yes, whoever the man you're to defend, I imagine he's feeling very alone at this moment.
I tell you one thing, I'm looking forward to a case in which I'm not the prime suspect.
This is going to be the first.
Yeah. Chapter 3, and now I'm finally not the suspect. Oops.
Oh.
Top of the morning to you, madam. Sir.
What the
What are yous doing following me here? Things are fair desperate, aren't they? Oh, get ready, boys. It's gonna be bad. Sorry? Would you look at the expressionless face? From the east, I use. Well, we're from Japan, yes. Ah, Japan, is it? Say no more.
You forgot to say right.
So, how much do yous need? No, we're just here because... No need to explain, fella. I've been there myself, so I have. No place to go, nothing to eat, barely a penny to your name, and all while in a strange, faraway land. Well, actually, we haven't found a place to stay yet, no. Jesus Christ, that scared me. 'Tis grand, 'tis grand. Let me start by giving yous 1,000 guineas. Say nothing now.
Hey, 1,000 guineas?
Please, Mr. Sato, you don't have to shout.
But 1,000 guineas is enough to build an entire mansion in the most prestigious area of Tokyo.
What? 'Tis nothing to me at all. I like to ensure I have sufficient funds to weather a rainy day, you see. I've enough wealth to buy the city of London 2 or 3 times over. Could that much rain even fall in one day?
It's like Scrooge. Like,
well, even so, we couldn't possibly accept such a large sum of money. Ah! That hit me in the eye. Don't get me wrong, fella. I am not giving it to you, no strings attached. I'll be wanting you to do something for me. Uh-oh. To be honest, 'tis a little embarrassing. The trial that's about to begin, you see, is for me good self here. I'll be in the dock.
here's our person we're defending, alright?
So now, what I want you to do is come along with me and stand there beside me. Officially, you'd be my lawyer, but that's just a little detail now. Oh, well, the thing is, don't worry about a thing. All you have to do is stand up there next to me, nothing more. Otherwise, you see, the trial is gonna start without me having any kind of representation at all. Though it was true, the Lord Chief Justice wasn't just making it all up.
I'm terribly sorry to have to ask, but does that mean you're the defendant in this trial?
Dots? Bluster and blazes. Do yous not know who I am? Me, one of London's biggest names. No, sorry, we only just arrived in the city, you see. I see. I suppose it isn't altogether impossible. Well, just next to Hyde Park, there in the center of London, is another beautiful park. Sorry, a park? What? 'Tis called Gilded Park, full of blossoming flowers in the spring and singing birds and whatnot. I donated it to the city, so I did.
Ah, and an entire park in central London?
A city of smiles. That's my vision for London. There's nothing Magnus McGilded wouldn't do for the city and its queer old people. That's amazing. I mean, really extraordinary. But now they've got the gall to say I'm a good-for-nothing criminal. Me, Magnus McGilded. What is the matter with the London police, I ask you?
What the frick is going on? It's still you.
What?
You're getting loud.
Yeah. All right, don't pass out. Reka is adjusting something at this moment.
Hopefully
Oh, Reka did a good emote earlier with the swirly rainbow top hats.
did.
This guy is like a cross between Willy Wonka and an Oompa Loompa.
Swirlies and non-swirlies. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Swirlies and non-swirlies.
Mr. Naruhodo, perhaps now would be a good time to introduce ourselves while the gentleman catches his breath.
Good idea. Mr. McGilded, the thing is, we're actually here in London to study British law. We're law students on a study tour from Japan, you see. So, if you don't have a lawyer for the trial yet, and you'd be happy to put yourself in our hands, we'll do our best. What was I after saying? You daft Egypt.
Hey, Egypt.
Oh, I don't. I've given you 1,000 guineas to stand up there next to me, haven't I? Well, yes, but I wasn't really offering to just stand up there next to you. Oh, I think I see what's going on here. Sorry. I know what you're thinking. This chamber of a chancer of a fella claims to have more money than the queen. But if that's true, why the blazes can't he hire the finest lawyer in all of England? Because he did it. That's the only explanation. Well? Well...
Not at all? Exactly.
Not at all, although it is a little strange, to be honest. Why don't you have a lawyer, I mean? That would be the fault of the Reaper. Sorry. Did he just say the Reaper? Aye, the Grim Reaper of the Bailey, Lord Barak von Zeix. He's the prosecutor. Or Zeix. He's von Zeix. The prosecutor.
The prosecutor is the Grim Reaper?
When Van Zeix stands for the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. And to this day, in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. What? So it's reached a desperate situation, where there's no one willing to stand in defense against the fella at all. You could say he's a living legend of the Old Bailey.
Goodness, Lord Barak Van Zeix? Is that right? He must be an exceptionally talented prosecutor then.
Talented isn't the word you're looking for, madame. It's cursed. Cursed? What on earth?
The defendant is summoned, and his counsel. Please make your way into the courtroom. The trial's about to begin.
Right, okay, Zeix. Zeix, thank you, good.
The last name is Zeix, because
That would
German
be-
IE is pronounced as E. Alright.
Oh, 'tis time. Well then, fella, don't let me down. But I don't know anything about the case. You haven't told me what happened. Until you showed your face here. I'd made up me mind, so I had. Sorry. I decided I'd have to defend myself in there. How would that have worked? But then you made an appearance. A student of law, wouldn't you know? 'Tis no accident, I can assure you of that. 'Tis fate. So don't get cold feet now, please.
We need information on the case.
Like the shape of his buttons. I literally don't know nothing about the case. Or about this man who stands accused. In fact, the only thing I do know is that I can't just turn my back on him. Even
Do
if he did
everything I
it.
can.
Even if he did it, doesn't matter, we gotta defend it.
Mr. Naruhodo,
The man has no one. he will have to stand alone in that courtroom, armed with nothing to defend himself. Yes, something that Cosmo would never have allowed to happen.
Counsel for the defense, what are you doing? If you're late for the start of the trial, you will lose your right to stand.
Let's go.
That's... I'll be right there.
Oh, am I done? Like, for this part? I don't go in.
I think you do still. It's happening then. My first trial in a British court. I hope you're watching over me, Cosmo. Because I have no idea how I'm gonna manage this.
Well, you do have his sword and his bandana with you. It may not be flowing in the wind anymore, but he's by you.
Well, this is very intense. 18th of February, 10 a.m. The Old Bailey courtroom.
Why is there a maid in the stand?
So this is the highest court in Great Britain, the Old Bailey. The centuries of history in this place is palpable, isn't it? It's so different from the Supreme Court in Japan.
It feels both imposing and serene at the same time. The atmosphere almost makes words redundant. Oh, I am there. Whatever the country, determining a person's guilt or innocence is always a solemn affair.
Fucking nice. Obviously, she's a chambermaid, Rika. Very good, Cody Cat.
Where is that? Where is it? I have something for that. Where is it?
See, I told you you'd be here. Oh, you're up, babe. Babe?
May I say something, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh, yes. What?
Oh my goodness. You're...
I forgot how funny it is. We haven't seen him too much.
Okay.
Since
Your eyes look ready to pop out of your head again.
I know, but I just can't help it.
Oh, it's Santa Claus.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this courtroom to be in session. We are here today to determine the guilt or innocence of Mr. Magnus McGilded. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
The prosecution is fully prepared. That must be the Reaper of the Bailey. He really does look fully prepared to dispatch his next poor victim to the underworld.
Counsel for the defense, you appear to be Eastern. Do you speak English?
Huh? Oh, yes, of course. Sorry. But he asked if the defense was ready. And I couldn't be further from ready if I tried.
He looks cool.
Those eyes please me. Nipponese. They shroud your fear, your doubt, your trepidation. They run wild, clinging to some phantom notion of courage. The quintessential look of a sacrificial lamb.
Oh, fuck.
Ugh. Cold shiver just ran down my spine all the way to the tips of my toes.
Now, Mr. McGilded.
Yes, my lord.
You stand accused of murder, a capital offense. You could be sent to the gallows if found guilty. Are you quite sure you wish to entrust your defense to this foreigner?
Not. I've always. As I've always said, my lord, 'tis a grand thing to give opportunities to the young. Even if the fella is a student from some little island off in the Far East. Is it not the British way to ignore the dangers to yourself and give those less fortunate a fair chance? I'd like to think that acts of chivalry do the great British Empire proud. Oh, the crowd loves it. They're eating it up.
It seems as though everyone in the public gallery is firmly behind Mr. McGilded.
That's definitely welcome news. And he certainly has a way with words. I'm surprised he couldn't convince anyone to defend him. Eloquently put, Mr. McGilded, and most laudable sentiments. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm sure I need hardly remind you. What the fuck is with Mr. Knifey? That you 6 members of the public have been selected for your impartiality. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, my lord. If the task is to send rotters to the gallows where they belong, I'm more than ready.
Yeah, mate.
At the manor, his lordship always says we should dispose of rubbish promptly. Naturally, I agree.
Huh. Any criminals here will soon be wishing they never set eyes on me.
I feel a chill.
Yes, don't mind me, my dears. I'll just be getting on with my knitting. Must finish these mitts for my grandson.
Mr. Naruhodo, those people are...
The jury, yes. That's something we don't have in Japan yet.
That's right. I've only ever read about it. She reads a lot. But here in Great Britain, the court's final verdict depends on the opinions of these 6 jurors. The judge passes sentence according to the law, but the jurors determine guilt based on common sense. Oh god, one's an old lady. So the defendant is ultimately judged from 2 completely different points of view.
But how exactly do the jurors give their verdict?
That I don't know, but I'm sure it will become clear as the trial progresses.
Yes. And this sounds like some pretty basic shit they should have learned on the boat ride over.
Prosecutor Van Zieks. My lord. It's been a number of years since we've seen you here in the courtroom. I thought you'd renounced your fame.
I'm known as the Reaper of the Bailey, my lord. Infamy rather than fame, I would say. But yes, 5 years have passed since I last spread my wings in this capacity.
It looks so cool.
So, what brings you back? Is there some change of circumstance of which the court should be aware?
Dots.
Yeah, fancy equals fancy.
I leave that to your imagination, my lord. So the Reaper has been out of action for 5 years. Why did he choose today of all days to make a comeback?
Don't lose heart, Mr. Naruhodo.
As you wish, sir. The court nevertheless welcomes your return. Now then, opening statements, I think. The summary of the case, if you please.
Certainly, my lord. As your lordship is aware, this is a case of overwhelming simplicity. We must be the only ones here who aren't aware.
The incident took place in the late evening, 3 days past. The hour was some minutes after 10.
The victim was a maker of building bricks, known in the community as Thrice-Fired Mason. Sorry, thrice?
He was a very accomplished craftsman. The bricks he fired were said to be almost indestructible.
Oh, look at that. There's a button popped there. That's important.
The victim's corpse was discovered in an omnibus in service on the streets of London at the time. A dagger that had been thrust into the victim's abdomen is believed to be the ultimate cause of death. Here is the autopsy report from the investigating medical officer at Scotland Yard. Thank you, Counsel. I shall accept that and the photograph as evidence.
The autopsy report has been entered into the court record. The photograph and added.
And one further item of evidence. The prosecution wishes to submit these as well.
And these are...
Good Lord, is that blood, Counsel? Yes, my lord, seized by a policeman who arrived at the scene. These gore-soaked gloves were taken from the hands of the accused when he was arrested.
Oh, we got some fucking OJ shit going on here now.
What? Mr. McGilded's gloves had blood on them.
Yes, I will accept these as evidence as well. The leather gloves the defendant was wearing at the time of the incident. There's a blood stain on the right glove. Well, we just have to have him try them on, right? If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. It's the Chewbacca Defense. I'm backed into a corner before I've even started.
Continuing.
Oh, by the way, I've got no problem saying O.J. Simpson totally fucking did it.
Now.
No, fucking did it. Even if you honestly think he did it, he's still an asshole.
True.
According to the driver of the omnibus, there were only 2 passengers traveling inside his vehicle at the time.
Only 2?
Obviously, one of those passengers was the deceased brickmaker, Mr. Mason. The other
was
the accused, Magnus McGilded.
Well, rather damning circumstances, to say the least.
Yeah, Mr. Mason is a brickmaker.
Defendant, what say you? That's... Well, of course, I have no recollection of such a thing.
Mr. McGilded?
To be sure, I rode the omnibus that evening. But whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness, and I always succumb to it. Are you claiming to have been asleep? 'Tis the motion of the carriage, my lord. Litten, so it is. And when I opened my eyes again... 'Twas a desperate sight before me. The body of a man I'd never laid eyes on before in my life. Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand.
The blood got onto the gloves then, after the man had been killed. Unfortunately, that statement of the driver's is only the beginning.
What?
Oh, it's not all of it. There were multiple witnesses to the precise moment at which the brickmaker was fatally stabbed.
Order! Order! Order!
When the killing took place, only the victim and the accused were inside the carriage. And there were witnesses to the crime. This is not just a case of compelling evidence. It's the nail in the coffin for the accused. Thank you, Counsel. The circumstances of the crime have been made quite clear. I think we will hear testimony from these witnesses first of all.
Your wish is my command.
Bailiff, bring the witnesses in at once.
Well, at least we're not dealing with the other guy from the first case, right? This guy is cool. Not annoying.
Witnesses, your names and occupations. If we're dealing with a lot of people's like ancestors, then it might be that this guy, because there's a prosecutor who's a female with silver hair and she has whips. I think her last name might even be Von Seeks too. So I think this is supposed to be her.
I'll find out later. Let's go.
She's a whip wielding prosecutor.
Beppo.
My name is, well, everyone calls me Beppo. I drive an omnibus in the Eastern End.
Bruce Fairplay, I'm a banker in the city.
My name's First. Lady First. I make hats for gents. Somehow I doubt that. Let's begin by confirming the facts. 3 days ago, at a short time after 10 o'clock in the evening, all of you present in the stand were in an omnibus and witness to the aforementioned incident. Is that correct? Yes, sir.
Quite right.
Yes, sir, that's right, sir.
Very well then, let's proceed with your formal testimonies, please. Each of you will tell the court precisely what you saw.
What the witnesses saw. It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well.
The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside of the bus. Then, out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts.
That's right, he stabbed him. I screamed, I did. I couldn't help it. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus and then I saw it too.
Unambiguous testimony, I must say.
Exactly, my lord. These men witnessed the incident in the omnibus with their own eyes. I'd like to ask a question, if I may.
Yes, Counsel.
Well, this testimony makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Why not? Well, the incident took place inside a moving carriage, didn't it? As has been clearly stated from the outset, yes. Well, in that case, how could those two witnesses possibly have seen what happened? There's no way they could have seen the inside of the moving carriage. How quaint. I'd read that civilization in the Eastern Island nations was a good century behind our own. But you're here in London yourself. Are you really so ignorant about our omnibuses? Huh? Tell me, my Nipponese friend. Have you even traveled in an omnibus? Well, no. We, only arrived in London this morning. No matter. I've arranged for us all to see for ourselves the actual scene of the crime, that is. What do you mean? The actual scene? How? A carriage is designed to be moved, after all. Presumably you understand that much. Yes. The omnibus in which the bloody crime took place is here today, in this very building. Here? What? The entire carriage?
Bailiff, bring forth the stricken omnibus.
Damn. The whole omnibus. Oh, shit.
I like the way it's like in the witness stand, basically. So that's an omnibus. The omnibus. Oh, look, we got Baker Street up there on there.
Baker Street.
Yeah, Baker Street, where Sherlock Holmes lived. At least in the stories, you know. I can't believe they could bring something so enormous in here. Great Britain's courtrooms are amazing. As you can see, the omnibus is pulled by 2 horses that can carry up to 8 passengers. 4 passengers seated inside in the enclosed cabin, and another 4 are on the rooftop deck above. Every Londoner knows that the best views of the city's architecture and sights are to be had from the top of an omnibus. I see, it's supposed to be like...
I rode an omnibus, but not a carriage.
What should I say? This is supposed to be like the double-deckers they have. And I should point out to our foreign guests that there is a skylight in the roof, allowing a view of the interior from the seats above. Shit, don't see any women up there. What the fuck? Ah, a skylight. Oh. The penny drops at last, I see. These 2 gentlemen were occupying the rooftop seats on this omnibus when the murder took place. That is how they came to witness the grim incident. Through the skylight. That makes perfect sense.
Well, Counsel, this is a first. In all my years behind the bench, I've never experienced the crime scene itself being brought into the courtroom. There are a number of important clues remaining inside the carriage, my lord. I would like to submit the omnibus itself as evidence.
Damn.
That is the prosecution's wish.
I wonder how we're gonna win.
Very well, I see no reason why not. This omnibus is hereby formally accepted as evidence.
Omnibus.
The 8-seater omnibus that was the scene of the crime. There were passengers both inside the carriage and on the roof of the deck at night. Okay. You want me to continue? Or do you want to take a break? You know what? We're going to take a quick, 3-minute break, guys. Don't go nowhere. Accidentally push that. Be right back. All right, boys, I'm back. Quick reminder. I'm streaming live on YouTube and Twitch, so give me a subscribe, a follow, a like, all that kind of stuff. Really helps out. If you're feeling generous, if you're liking what you're... Actually, no, if you don't like what you're hearing, because I probably have a higher chance of that. All right, let me see the history real quick. Oh, hold on. Hold up. I'm gonna try bringing up the... I'm talking. There we go. Okay, so there you go, babe. I said, I can't believe it. The entire crime scene entered as evidence.
Yes, Great Britain is simply extraordinary.
I could help myself a lot by giving that omnibus a thorough examination, seeing as it's here.
Let us continue with proceedings, then. Your cross-examination, counsel.
Pray, don't expect this Nipponese stray to understand the intricacies of a British court's cross-examination rights. All right, my first cross-examination in a British court. Focus, Ryunosuke. Focus. Oh, I see Killer Marshmallow's playing Elder Scrolls Online. Okay, so let me examine this, everything we've got so far here first. Got a lot of shit. Okay, so victim, name, thrice-fired mason, male, age 54, occupation, brickmaker, time and cause of death, 15th February, 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Stabbed once in the abdomen with a knife whilst journeying in an omnibus. Died due to internal... Oh, and sinuals, too. Died due to internal hemorrhaging resulting from the trauma. Alright, like I said, we got a missing button here. Hats being... a crazy-ass fucking hat. Interesting. Okay. Got the leather gloves. This is definitely blood, isn't it? Not the most pleasant sight to be confronted with on our first day in London.
Well, nothing will come of grumbling now.
No. By the way, is Mr. Gilded right-handed?
Yes, I believe so. He was toying with a coin in his right hand a little earlier.
Ah, pity. If only he'd been left-handed.
I think blood on either glove would be fairly incriminating, really.
Okay, Okay.
Well, let's open the door and go inside, shall we?
The scene of a murder. This is horrible. Don't mind us, court. We're just going inside. Ah, that's a poster for the great exhibition that's due to start 6 months from now. There's a lot of focus being drawn to the Crystal Tower, the centerpiece of the whole exposition.
Oh, the Crystal Tower. It's under construction already, I believe. People all over London must be fizzing with excitement at the prospect of such a grand event.
This seat looks reasonably soft, but it's actually rather hard when you sit on it. And only just wide enough for two gentlemen to sit side by side, really.
Of course, an English gentlewoman would be dressed in such finery. It would be quite impossible for her to climb up to the roof deck, so she would have to be seated in here.
A woman in a kimono would have the same problem. Women's clothes are very impractical, aren't they? Ah, but look what I'm looking at here. There's a handle, boys. This seat is a handle, it seems. Oh, This looks like all sorts of equipment that might be needed to keep the omnibus running.
Lighting tubes, tools to repair wheels, blankets, horseshoeing tools. So it's a storage compartment for the coachman to keep his things, it seems.
There doesn't seem to be any space for passengers to stow their luggage, that's for sure.
Well, I don't imagine it would be very convenient for that purpose anyway.
And it's the side opposite of where the guy got stabbed, too, that has the compartment.
Can we look upward?
Not yet. I'm taking my time. Oh, that's a poster for the Great Exhibition that's due to start in 6 months. Okay, no, we can skip this. There's a different looking poster. It's quite a large skylight, isn't it?
Yes, quite large enough to afford a good view into the cabin from the roof deck.
And there doesn't appear to be a handle or catch of any description. So I suppose it can't be opened from inside the cabin, at least. If both of them up top saw, then both of them would have had been sitting in the back seat up there. That's blood that's soaked into the seat, the victim's obviously.
Yes, and that seat would be clearly visible from the roof deck.
Would you really stab somebody in full view of the other passengers like that? I wonder.
Well, it was after dark. And there was a lamp. On in here. So perhaps a culprit couldn't see anything outside through the skylight.
Whichever way you look at it, it doesn't seem like it was a planned attack. Yeah, and there are lights in here. Or a light, at least. There's only one
Phoenix
door.
Wright Omnibus.
Phoenix Wright Omnibus. What the fuck? You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure.
Yes, and there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. So I'm sure the witnesses would have been able to see quite clearly.
That's not good for us. There does appear to be like a latch up here, though.
So this is the roof deck of the omnibus. Oh, you must have a wonderful view of London Street from up here.
People sit all the way up here on bitter winter nights with the cold air rushing past them, and they have to pay money to do so?
Brr. I can't imagine how cold it must feel.
That just made me think of something horrible. Can you imagine being dragged around the city in the freezing cold as a punishment?
Perhaps that is the real price you may pay to stay out late. Yeah, but did they both sit in the back?
Look at that butt groove. There's even wear here where the shoes normally go for the driver. Good details. I like that. It's just gonna be the same here. I was wanting to see if the things were different. Oh yeah, there is footprints down here as well. It doesn't look like I can look at them though. Alright. I think then we are done looking at this. It was the last bus of the evening, so I had a few customers. I remember it well. The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus. Yeah, we can go ahead and start pressing on this stuff. Yes, I think it was sometime after 10, wasn't it? Oh, yes, sir. That's right, sir. Yes, ever so cold it was. Sir, freezing, in fact. And you had 4 passengers on board, at the time. Is that correct? Yes, that's right, sir. Not all traveling in the same parts of the bus, of course, though, no.
And there were no other passengers when the incident took place? No one alighted, for example?
You're quite right with that, sir. No other passengers like that. No, none. But nobody fled the scene of the crime, then. I have to say, the boss insists on it running. He does every evening, that last bus of the day. But I do wonder sometimes if it's altogether worthwhile. Yes, sorry to say. What do you mean by that? Well, what with it being so cold and everything, and only making 20 pence on the run, you see. Yes, I spend that much at the pub on the way home, just trying to warm up again.
The victim and the man accused of killing him were sat next to each other inside the bus.
Hold it!
And you saw them through the skylight on the roof of the carriage.
That's right. When you sit up on the top deck, the window's right there at your feet. There was a lamp on inside, so I had a pretty good view. The 2 of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces.
I want to point out that there's no glove there. On the left, no gloves.
But there's not a shred of doubt in my mind that it was Mr. McGilded.
Yeah, that doesn't look like Mr. McGilded at
Fuck all.
How can you be so sure?
Well, how can I put it politely? Miss McGilded is a gentleman of rather small nature.
Stature.
I couldn't have mistaken him for anyone else.
Let's not forget that when the vehicle came to a halt, the only people inside the enclosed cabin were the deceased Mr. Mason and Mr. McGilded. There's no room for doubt here. Ugh, I really wish there was.
Then out of the blue, the accused just reached over and plunged a knife right into his guts.
Hold it!
You actually saw the exact moment it happened?
Didn't I already testify to that? Or are fair dinkum, hard-working city bankers not considered trustworthy these days?
Oh, no, I didn't mean that. This is no good. I've really got his backup. Perhaps you could just tell us what you saw in a little more detail, if that...
My lord! Juror number 3, what's the meaning of this? My mind is made up, my lord. Completely and utterly made up.
Made up about what?
I don't like the stinking rich, never have. They're always up to something or other that they shouldn't be, every one of them. And that little leprechaun of a man is no exception. Well, he can't fool me. There's no point wasting time listening to any more of this. That's my opinion on the matter anyway. That is precisely what I was about to say. As the foreman of the jury, it's my duty to set a good example for my fellow jurors.
Some wacky-ass fucking system. What is happening here? Okay. She had to snap out of it. She was so engrossed.
Let me see. Ah, yes. It seems that's how the members of the jury give their verdict.
With fire?
Apparently, yes. White for innocent and black for guilty. As the 6 members of the jury make up their minds about the case, one by one they each cast a ball of fire into the great scale of justice, as we saw a moment ago.
Little lady.
So if those enormous scales fall completely to the black side, does that mean...
Let's do our very best to make sure that doesn't happen.
Something tells me this is not exactly how... This is not historically accurate.
Are you sure? I probably had something like that.
Now I'm even more worried than I was before.
Very well, the court acknowledges the change in the jury's stance. Counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination.
I don't think we're doing so well.
This is a nightmare. That's right. He stabbed him. I screamed, I did. I couldn't help it.
Hold it!
He stabbed him, you say, and you were sitting up on the roof deck, were you? Yes, that's right, sir. I was up on the roof seats. I remember seeing the little gent sitting next to the fellow that was stabbed. I've been thinking about a new hat design, you see, so I was just gazing absentmindedly around. But then I happened to look down through the skylight. It was sticking right out from his belly. That huge, great knife.
God, his hat thing is
A
distracting.
grim sight indeed.
Ah, that didn't help me at all.
Clean, 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 clean.
Jerry looks
Pipe,
like they're
pipe,
even
pipe,
more
pipe,
convinced
pipe,
my
pipe.
client did it than they were before.
Aha! Yeah.
That appears to have made everyone even more dubious that Mr. McGilded is telling the truth. Only we had some evidence to counter their suspicions.
Mr. First.
Yes, sir?
Is this the knife you saw?
Oh, good grief, yes, that's it. The very one, sir.
Is that?
Yes, counsel, this is the blade that was driven into the victim's belly, like a stake through the heart. Of course, he's making vampire references.
Oh my goodness.
That is a blade of considerable size, Counsel.
It is, and furthermore, the scabbard is emblazoned prominently with a certain initial. The letter M, which seems oddly familiar. Please no. M for Magnus, perhaps, or McGilded, possibly. Take your pick.
M for Mason.
Mason. Or maybe it's W for Wumbo. It seems
It's W for Wumbo.
It seems this particular big name in London made a magnificent mistake. But there are M's everywhere. Like in Mason. Boom, there you go.
Objection!
No.
This blade is far too extravagant for a poor brickmaker to have owned. No, this weapon of murder almost certainly belongs to the accused.
Not conclusive, but certainly compelling, Counsel.
A large-ish knife that was found lodged in the victim's abdomen. Large-ish. Its quality and fancy ornamentation suggest it must be quite valuable.
My lord, if you'll forgive the interruption.
Juror number 2, go on.
Mr. McGill is a pillar of society and a gentleman, and a gentleman's word should be sacrosanct. However, oh dear, those of us in service know we must accept hard truths.
Wait, what are you about to do?
Dispose of the rubbish. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. This is looking bad for Mr. McGriddle.
No.
I don't wish to cause offense, but I do like to eradicate all traces of filth and grime. I have painstakingly typed every word uttered here today and cross-referenced all the facts. As such, I am now in a position to draw the only logical conclusion.
Oh no.
This is looking really bad.
Not again.
That's 4 out of 6 jury members who've proposed a guilty verdict. There are only 2 left.
Oh, we've had it. Every time I press these witnesses for more information, I just make the situation worse.
Nevertheless, what we need more than anything at the moment is more information. We're still very much in the dark.
Exactly. I suppose I'll just have to keep pressing the witnesses, knowing that more sparks may well fly.
We mustn't give up hope. That will uncover something. That will give us a way to fight back.
But... Alright. I'll keep trying. I can't give up.
I just can't let anyone
keep
down.
Calm and listen to the witnesses' statements again. Because I can't do it. Can't let anybody down. Not gonna do it.
This is
okay,
so
hold on.
bad.
We gotta look at this here weapon.
M might be a W. Where's the M inscribed in? That part in the sheath, isn't it? Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh, sorry, yes. I just don't really like the blades.
Oh. Those don't seem like the words of a man with a large katana slung from his waist.
That's not a blade. That's Cosmo's soul. Anyway, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see
so
what
corny.
the blade looks like.
Oh gosh.
Okay, I already see a problem here. Keep seeing everybody talk about how it was driven to the hilt. This blade is very much not driven to the hilt. That looks like a lot of blood.
It surely is blood. That victims.
An Englishman's blood looks a lot like a Japanese man's blood.
Did you think it wouldn't?
Sorry, it's just that we've only just arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust.
Yes, I do understand. Where's the M that everybody keeps talking about?
I don't know, we'll find it. There's no way that's an M.
It looks like a W.
No, it's a W. You don't put these swirlies on the fucking feet of an
Yes,
M?
you do. You can.
No, it's a W for Wumbo. An ornate letter M. Undeniably Mr. Magnus McGilded's initial. And it's beautifully gilded too. It must be very valuable.
And it's beautifully gilded too. It must be very valuable, I should think.
Ah, sorry, I spoke over you.
What is it?
Look at this M. If you turn it upside down, it becomes a W. This could change everything.
A W?
Yes, this is one of those, turnabout cases. I'm sure of it.
I'm afraid I don't know at all. But what I am sure of is that this is an M.
Oh. Well, that idea was quickly quashed.
It's an M.
W for Wumbo. Okay. Oh, crap. I accidentally pushed the wrong direction. Alright, so what had happened, the only 2 people in the closed cabin were the victim and the defendant. And... 3 whole people witnessed the man trying to defend do the deed.
I don't like to be pessimistic, but we do seem to be in a rather difficult situation
I pushed
here.
the wrong button. What am I supposed to think here? Is Mr. McGilded really innocent? Or could it be...
Before we jump to conclusion, our first task should be to gather information. We need to understand the case much better than we do at the moment.
True. Yes, you're absolutely right. This listener is going to say yes, okay. Yes, I'm just trying to get to the last person. I accidentally skipped it. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus and then I saw it too.
Hold it!
What exactly did you see? Oh, well, sir, that would be the passenger, sir. Yes, collapsed on the floor he was. And by the passenger, obviously you were referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker. And then the other passenger had that knife in his hand, like this. By the other passenger, obviously you're referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGilded. And then he plunged it down like this, stabbing the other passenger in the belly.
Oh, he saw it happen? I'm getting very confused about all of it.
Yeah, what the fuck? Hold on.
Because the picture had the knife in him. Right?
Right.
And the guy said he saw the person down on the floor and then getting stabbed? But
Right. I know. What?
that doesn't make sense.
My lord, I wish to speak. Yes, juror number 5. Do I take it that you, too, as the master of the London Guild of Coachmen, the idea of a murder being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. It wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse has bolted, as they say. No, please, just keep... Gee up now, Silverblaze. The finish is in sight.
I'm thinking the old lady's not going to say anything till the very end because she can't hear very well.
Beppo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says. Oh, thank you, sir. You're too kind, sir. This is too unkind, sir. Which now means that 5 jurors agree to condemn this man. Madam Juror number 6. Yes, dear. What can I do for you? You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand. Oh, yes, I certainly have. You still got my hearing, you know.
Okay, there we go.
Then, pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your lenient? Well, dear, the thing is, I'm... what?
I thought I did the old lady.
I can't pass opportunity. I'm good at old
Oh,
ladies.
okay, go do it.
Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park at around this time of day and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting.
I love
There's
this.
a lovely little park just near where I live. Gilded Park, it's called. The gentleman donated it to the city, you know, to put a smile on Londoners' faces, he said. I can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life.
Oh, old lady!
The Gilded Public Library. How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know what kind of a man Magnus McGilded really is? What kind of a man is he?
The philanthropist, Magnus McGilded, has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly.
Yeah, he hasn't.
But where did all that wealth come from? Your client is a Shylock, sir, and one with the very darkest of souls. What?
Is Stone the Crows?
McGilded lends money to an extortionate rates of interest, so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak.
I've never heard any mention of that before.
Your faculties have deserted you, I'm sure, madame. So has this thought not crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason could this man have had to make use of a public omnibus service? You're not saying that. The victim, a poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name, save considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused, Magnus McGilded. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the final repayment date for his debts.
Good gracious!
His wig.
The brickmaker was destitute. He had lost his house. He had not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him, his life. By the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded.
If I might add something briefly, Miss Sasato.
No,
oh, that's you.
No, Mrs. Sato, that's me. Mrs. Sato.
You claim that the victim had been lent money by Mr. McGilded. But where is the evidence to support your claim? Where did the wine come from?
Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hallowed chalice in a court of law.
Aha! There it is! Lord Van Zeek's hallowed chalice!
How can this be considered acceptable?
But I find myself in unexpectedly good humor. I had heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself.
Ah. As a judicial assistant to the defense, I am simply doing my job.
What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside. Allow me to present this ledger as evidence.
Oy, oy, oy.
And forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time.
Yeah, he could have just said, "Here's the evidence," but he had to make a show of it.
A marvelous toast, Counsel. I will gladly accept this new evidence.
A catalog of people who had borrowed money from the defendant at a high rate of interest. It includes the victim who owed 20 guineas.
Ah yes, 20 guineas. The victim owed a considerable sum.
How much is 20 guineas?
And the accused made quite certain he had ample recompense.
It's double 10 guineas and half of 40. Well, it would seem I've had the wool pulled over my eyes.
No, old lady.
Hold on, I
no.
gotta examine this. Oops. Hold on. For record. There we go, examine. This portfolio must contain all sorts of secrets of London's gentry.
Oh dear. Do you really think we ought to look inside?
Well, it's not as though we know any of London's gentry personally, is it? Apart from our great detective friend, perhaps. Actually, I wonder. I assure you...
I assure you will not find Mr. Sholmes' names inside.
Well, let's see what we can find.
Oh, do we find Mr. Sholmes' names inside? That'd be funny. I can't read a single thing here.
Oh, I know.
Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it?
Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off.
Ah, goodness.
What is it?
Look at this. Do you see the name here?
Bruce Fairplay. Ho ho ho! Brucey boy.
Should that... Oh,
Does that mean something to me? It doesn't sound... It does sound strangely familiar, actually.
Bruce Fairplay, the witness testifying at this very moment?
Oh yes, of course, the banker. Why is his name in here? And I'm off. Apparently he's even worse with names than I am. He borrowed 20 guineas, did he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching.
It's possible that this is just a coincidence, of course, but this could be very useful information. Can we flip?
Not that I can tell. Let me try clicking on the other page. Okay, no. Okay, so yeah, it's just the same. So though, that's going to be important.
Yeah.
Regrettably, madame, that is the modus operandi of the accused.
And it's such a pretty little park, too. What a scoundrel.
Oh no.
You still... Maybe it's all for the best.
Well, wait a minute. Let's think about this.
I don't stand for nonsense.
Oh, that's all 6.
That was it. The last juror's decision.
According to this Encyclopedia of British Law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the proceeding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here.
The final verdict. It's over then.
Oh. There's a footnote, though.
A footnote?
However, the defense...
All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement with this case. In this case.
Allow me to convey my respect for your swift and righteous decision.
According to the laws of this country, I will now conclude the trial by delivering my final verdict. I trust there are no objections.
Mrs. Sato, just tell me one thing.
Oh, yes?
You were in the middle of saying something before. The footnote in your Encyclopedia of British Law. However, the defense... What did it say next?
Oh, yes, of course. One moment. When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended and the proceedings judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. And the footnote says, however, the defense... has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point. Okay.
A summation examination.
Objection!
A summation examination? From which century has that tome you have there been resurrected?
Ah,
Judging from the binding, I would say that book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic, long forgotten, and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck.
oh.
What even is it, Mrs. Sato? This so-called summation examination.
Oh, one moment, and I'll read about it.
You will demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails? Typical Nipponese.
All right, Mr. Naruto, I think I understand. It seems that under the procedure, we would be able to appeal to the members of the jury.
To do what, exactly?
Appeal to them to change their leaning and reverse their decision. And it says here that, if successful, the proceedings of the trial must be resumed.
Make them reverse their decisions.
Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision. But that procedure became something of a formality with no practical benefit, really, so it rather fell out of use.
I wonder why.
Because it was devoid of purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try in this day and age.
Still, I don't see any mention of the procedure actually being formally revoked.
What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruto?
Summation examination. Our last possible option. Do we assert our right to carry it out or admit defeat?
Sir, alright, yeah.
The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination, my lord.
Objection!
London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very highest standards of judicial procedure. Summation examinations are an embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection!
But if it's our right, it's our right. I believe it could prove vital in this trial.
The defense's petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination.
This is madness. I'm sorry, I was losing the voice there. I was had a slight burp coming up.
Foreman, you and the remainder of the jury ready?
Well, Herm, I'm not Herm. There was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see, so...
All members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached their decision.
On what grounds?
You must all justify your decisions and explain why you believe the defendant to be guilty.
Oh, well, my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot.
This is most irregular. No mention was made of this before.
I don't really hold with all this justifying lark. Seems to have thrown the jurors off.
Seems none of them have experienced this before.
All right then, the summation examination. The defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted for years, is it? Well, just maybe. It might be the opportunity we've been looking for to turn this trial around.
Not gonna let anyone down.
Not gonna let him down.
So be it then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you to state the grounds on which you find the defendant Magnus McGilded guilty of this most serious crime.
Oy, oy, oy.
Judicial findings. The jurors' contentions.
And there was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him.
I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory. It seems 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. 20 pence.
With fares totaling 20 pence. Okay. He stuck the chap next to him like this. Brazen, I must say.
Oh my God, please don't do that.
Absolutely brazen.
Why are you allowed that? I have simply typed and collated the statements made thus far and drawn a logical conclusion.
You can trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence for years. Boom, boys. Right there, we just got it.
Wait, 4 pence for you? That means it would be 16. Not 20.
Exactly. So either this guy memory is not good, or either way it'd be no good. But either he was wrong about the fares, or there was a 5th person.
The scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor, it beggars belief.
I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed for this now. Oh no, we got it.
Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, though, do they?
Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I'll have to throw everything I can at them and use some very persuasive language.
Just a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. Her and her book. According to my book, that's not quite how it works.
Oh? I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetoric about the defendant.
Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they're unlikely to heed anything the defense says.
But then...
They've reached their conclusion by their own reasoning. See, your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become.
What on earth am I supposed to do?
Oh dear, I'm just citing what I've read about British laws, Mr. Naruhodo.
Right. I'm sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work then?
Well, from what I can understand, the key to this procedure is using the juror's own words to make your argument.
What do you mean?
Well, the 6 members of the jury are randomly selected members of the public. They may appear to present a united front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves here in the courtroom together.
And that's the way to break them down, you mean?
Yes, exactly. Like the one that says that they haven't risen the prices over 4 pence in years. How do we have 20 pence then?
Oh, this is still you.
We must listen very carefully to what each member of the jury says. And see...
Contradictory statements.
If we can, we then contrast the statement and pit the corresponding jurors against each other.
I see. So it's contradictions in what 2 or more jurors say that we're looking for. In a way, then, this is similar to a regular cross-examination.
Oh, yes. I suppose you're right.
Find contradictions in their statements. Pit the jurors against one another to break them down. All right. I might be able to pull this off. No, that's not right. The old double slap. I have to pull this off.
Can we start proceedings, Counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal.
Yes, my lord.
Oh dear.
Jury examination. The defendant's rebuttal.
There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him.
I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, see. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence.
Hit them against each other.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other.
Explain yourself, Counsel.
Me? Oh dear, what have I said?
I swear on Silver Blaze's mane and name, I haven't the first idea what you are talking about. According to the group testimony we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question. Oh, this is cool. And according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 20 pence in fares.
Quite right. I have the precise details typed neatly here in front of me.
And juror number
This is so
5
cool.
also told us the following. The fare for the omnibus is always 4 pence.
That it is a fair and convenient single price, just the way London's carriages should be operated.
But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts.
Why, man, why?
4 passengers paying 4 pence each. You do the multiplication.
It would be 16 pence.
Exactly. As I said, it doesn't add up. The figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Or precisely, 1 person's fare.
1 person's fare?
Yes, in other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible there was another passenger we've heard nothing about.
Good gracious.
This can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good, honest men. One and all, trustworthiness is our watchword.
The figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy.
I beg your pardon.
Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he lets nefarious characters ride his omnibus.
All right then, how do I make it so this miserable trial doesn't end,
Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire onto the innocent side of the set of scales.
Now hold your horses there, coachman. We were all in agreement. Wait till I get my hands on you, Beppo.
Ah, this is all very irritating.
Begging your pardon, sir, I'm going to do the same. This is so cool.
For the love of Mike, not you as well.
A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters.
Oh, really?
I, for one, think it's only proper that we hear from the witness again. Oh, well done, Mr. Ohodo. You did it! If we can manage to change 2 more juries' mind, we can force the trial to continue.
2 more. Actually. Why are you speaking for Ryunosuke?
I'm thinking. Sorry, so sorry.
There is something else that's bothering me about a couple of their assertions.
Then that's where you must strike next.
I need to pit two or more jurors against each other and show there's another contradiction in their assertions. Well, the scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh heavy on the side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Continue with your summation examination.
Objection!
Yeah, that doesn't make sense either.
Oh god, he dropped the way he drops his knife.
Oh gosh, he's gonna stab someone.
Those two statements are completely contradictory. What? Explain, counsel, post haste.
Oh, dearie me, I was only knitting a jumper for my other half.
What is all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask you? We've heard from more than one witness that they allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3... What? Can't you see that I'm busy here? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? Huh, want to test me, do you? It was like this, stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up, just like the prim banker said. Yes, that is what Mr. Fairplay's testimony. Quite true. Now then, juror number 6.
Oh, is that me, is it? What can I do for you, young man?
How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam?
Oh, well, dear, as far as I understand it, yeah, it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so.
Now don't move. Take a look at these two jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. And he stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. Well, I never. They're stabbing in totally different directions. What?
Bless my stitches, muddle.
Oh, don't mess up your stuff.
What this tells us is that there's a strong possibility one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth.
Oh.
But why? Why the dickens would they lie? I don't know that yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience?
Lies, you say? Oh, dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies.
Good old little old lady. Good go. The scales.
I don't believe it. Wait! Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him, in his black suit. He's clearly some devious Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all. If I could use magic, you really think I'd be putting myself through all this? Answer me this, dark jinx. Huh? But me? What exactly is the problem? What of it if two witnesses have slightly different recollections of the events? What of it? Let's say the Shylock did stab the victim as he sat next to him on the omnibus, and this young dandy saw him do it. And now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor, and this Shylock stabbed him again, and this old lady saw him do it. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that, huh? Who are you calling a dandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife to you.
Hey, hold on! What are you calling old? I should take this needle to you.
They're ready to kill each other now. But could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the two witnesses see two different moments of the same crime?
No, because they were sitting. He was sitting on the freaking couch.
Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman.
What is it, you dark jinx? Come on, out with it.
What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question.
What? What are you talking about, man? How could you possibly say that? You do realize that I'm only doing my job. As foreman of the jury, I have a responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So where's your evidence, man? That's what we want to see. I say the two witnesses saw two different moments of the same crime. If you say that's out of the question, show me some proof.
All right, here we go. As you wish.
What?
I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that two witnesses saw different moments of the same crime as proven by... I'm going to go with this one because it's about a single...
Yeah, it says stabbed once.
Yeah, it says stabbed once, so that's why I'm going to go ahead and do this one. This one also does show him sitting, but...
Yeah,
this one says
stabbed once.
Take that!
This is the victim's autopsy report. According to what's written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once.
Only once?
Yeah, both might have worked. It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely one time. Which means these witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen two different times. All right. I concede defeat. Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leaning to not guilty.
We've done it, Mr. Naruhodo. We've won.
Well, no, we've won the right to go back to court proceedings. We're not done yet.
What are you playing at, you dandy fool?
Shut your trap, sir. No one deceives me.
But we had a consensus.
I said shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one, and if the champ ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor-sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head.
Okay, that is just weird and gross and creepy at the same time. Please stop.
There are times when I'm playing games where I just find myself wondering, what the fuck am I doing? What am I looking at? This is one of those moments.
Honey, come on.
Please tell me he's a barber. I was gonna say, he also kind of looks like the guy from Clockwork Orange in the way he looks, like his eyes and stuff.
Well, quite remarkable turn of events. The defense's summation examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there is no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate. And the trial must continue.
This is so cool.
I hereby ask the defense, prosecution, and witness to return to their places, and I call upon all of you to continue to pursue the truth. So, Lord Van Zieks, continue to substantiate the case for the prosecution, if you would please.
Is that blood or is it wine? I'm very curious.
Oh, fuck.
Oh. Ooh.
Wait, he should be covered in that crap. Having savored the rich aroma of the carmine contents of this hallowed chalice,
It may seem crass to crush it to dust. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zieks.
Brr. Is it cold in here, or is it just me?
As your antiquated tome no doubt says, the prosecution may not speak during a summation examination. So I honored a deathly silence and listened to the charade.
Or he'd probably say charade.
It seems I overestimated the intelligence of the jury. Well, no matter. There is nothing so hard to prove as a self-evident truth, it would seem. No, and why else would we grace the courtroom with our presence after all? So, let us proceed to the next round of battle.
He's so freaking cool. Oh, look at this.
Bring forth the witnesses once more.
His uniform is awesome.
Witnesses, I trust you heard the summation examination we have just had to endure.
Oh, yes, sir. That I did, sir.
Of course I heard it.
Oh, yes, sir, I heard it.
You, sure, on the end, the coachman, I believe it's Beppo?
Yes, sir, my lord, sir.
If it transpires that ye in your previous testimony you were attempting to veil the presence of a fifth passenger in your omnibus, you will be found guilty of perjury. You are advised to bear that in mind, sir.
Oh, mio Dio. Oh.
Now then, witnesses, I hereby call on you to testify before the court again. If you will explain the various misgivings brought to our attention by the defense's summation examination.
Various misgivings.
I only carried 4 passengers that night. I swear it, but
Well, I for one was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus.
He fiddled us on the fare, he did. And then I saw that blood-curdling sight as well. It's all too much.
I tell you, I saw Gilded stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands.
Oh, yes, he stabbed him. Yes, he did. I think so, yes.
Oh.
Beppo, you're in fucking trouble, boy.
Counsel, make sense of this for me, please.
The phantom fifth passenger conjured into existence by my learned, esteemed friend never existed. The confusion has arisen from the coachman's sly little cozenage.
Okay, what does that mean? I'm looking it up.
Okay.
Beppo, explain yourself.
I'm terribly sorry, Guildmaster.
Oh, look, we can see his eyes.
The guild's fare is 4 pence across the board. You know that. Am I to understand that you have been overcharging our passengers by a penny a fare?
It's so cold, and the last run of the day is always half empty.
You have been dishonest, coachman.
I'm sorry.
You're a disgrace, Beppo. A disgrace. And your selfish actions have brought dishonor on the entire guild.
Okay, the practice of deception, trickery.
Yeah. If I may, sir, I had to pay 10 pence on the bus just last week.
What? What?
Voices all over the place.
4 passengers at 5 pence each is, yes, 20 pence. I've done that arithmetic 10 times already, but I just can't make the result come out differently.
No, Figures. I can't tell if she's brilliant or freaking dumb as shit.
Well, it would appear that one of the aforementioned misgivings has already been explained. So, counsel for the defense?
Oh, excuse me.
Your cross-examination, if you please.
We've already had the pleasure of a protracted summation examination today. I see you intend to continue the parlor games. Absolutely. No, it's maths. They call it maths over there in England. And that's at the end.
I only carried for 4 passengers that night, I swear,
Well, I, for one, was told I had to pay 5 pence for the bus.
Okay, this is where I want to press. This blood-curdling sight. You mean the murderer, I presume?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
A loathsome sight. No one should have to witness the horror in the eyes of a man the moment his life is taken.
Oh, well, not exactly, sir. Yeah, hold on, I will. Just a moment.
Oh, shoot.
I mean, I didn't actually see the exact moment the gent was stabbed.
Oh, good gracious. Really?
We have another witness who did, however. The banker has already testified to it. But Mr. First didn't actually see the point at which the victim was killed. That may turn out to be very significant. I heard the banker gent next to me take a sharp intake of breath, see? That's when I looked through the glass. That's when I saw that horrible blade poking out from his belly, all covered in blood. Every time I see a knife now, I can't help screaming, even when I'm eating.
Whoa, PTSD.
Can't I present the knife right now to him?
No, come on,
Won't
honey.
let me do it.
You want to hear him scream?
I tell you, I saw Mick Gilded stabbing that man. Everything I said before stands.
Hold on, boys. Hold up.
Hold it!
So you saw the defendant, Mr. McGilded, stabbing the victim, Mr. Mason, who was sitting next to him.
That's what I said, isn't it?
It was bothering me before, this was. For just a brief moment, he hesitated before answering the question.
Anyway, there was only 2 of them inside the carriage, wasn't there?
Okay, I want to speak to him because he's freaking out. Mr. First. Oh, how can I help you, sir? That last statement, did it trouble you in some way? Oh, not particularly, sir, no. Anything. He's troubling me with that hat of his. Has he greased his head? Oh dear, sir, I hope my hat's not troubling you, sir. I'm still just an apprentice, you see. Mr. Oh. This is you, babe.
Mr. Naruhodo. Even the witnesses can see what's going through your mind. You really must be more careful.
Oh, wish it were that simple. How long ago was trying to... Oh, dang it, I did it again. Like, I'm not expecting it to put me, like, past where the person was I was just talking to. Urgh. Yes, I know. Gotta bring more facts. Yes, I know. Duh, don't lecture me. I just messed up. Yes, I need to pay careful attention. Yes.
Oh my god, yes!
No, I know. I accidentally pushed D. I'm sorry. Holy shit.
Honey, you do better.
Okay, how is he acting normally? These guys are so fucking active, I can't tell when they actually have an issue or not. Okay, I'm gonna press this guy real quick.
Hold it!
Earlier, you testified that you saw the moment when the defendant allegedly stabbed the victim, didn't you?
Oh, yes, that's right.
You said that the victim was on the floor and described the assailant holding the knife in an ice pick grip.
I suppose I might have, yes, put the cart before the horse, maybe.
You witnessed nothing.
What's this?
Well, I'm quite sure about the most of it.
I just gotta keep checking what they look like.
I was driving the horses when I heard a scream from the seats on the roof deck.
Oh, I expect that was me, sir. What is it with this fucking dude on the left? His fucking face. His goddamn, like, left and right shit.
And you just take off the hat if it keeps
Oh,
falling.
I know.
God.
Then when I turned around, yes, I
How would you have seen it through the skylight?
Through the skylight.
How? There's a whole bench on his way.
Not only that, but he's sitting on the wrong side for him to have been able to see it. But I don't think it's allowing me to present anything yet. Like right now. Okay, so this is just what we've already read. Yeah, it's not letting me present anything anyway at this point.
The gentleman was on the floor and the knife was sticking up out of his midriff.
Also doesn't make sense.
I know it doesn't. But we know that's not. But I don't have anything for presenting.
That's right, yes, and the fellow holding the handle was the famous man. Yes.
So in short, you didn't see the moment when the victim was actually stabbed at all.
I really thought that I did, but when I go over it again in my head, no, I suppose I didn't actually see the precise moment of the stabbing, did I?
There we go.
Wow, they really were making this. And I gotta say, it's very hard to figure out when you're supposed to go talk to these people. This is super subtle acting right here.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, Mr. Fairplay? Now you listen to me. I know what you're thinking. He didn't really see the exact moment the fellow was stabbed. What are the chances of that? Eh? Are you asking me or telling me? I'm getting flustered. I might be able to extract some new information from him if I answer him cleverly. Could he just have happened to have seen... Could he have just happened to see the exact moment the crime was committed? What the fuck does this answer even mean? What? Well, it is a little hard to believe, certainly. Unless you spend your time peeping through a skylight on the top of an omnibus, that is.
Peeping? I'm a respectable city banker, I'll have you know. And I know what I saw. I remember it as clear as a Ballarat day. It was a grim scene. I don't mind telling you. Thank you, Mr. Fairplay. Oh, excuse me if I was getting a little hot under the collar there, my lord. I would ask you to supplement your testimony with a clear statement about what exactly you saw. Oh, I can do that all right. I'll tell you just how grim it was. Do you think I'd forget the sight of those blood-soaked hands after that butcher stabbed the man?
Hold it!
Blood-soaked.
Well, perhaps soaked is laying it on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it.
And you saw that from the roof, through the skylight?
Well, the skylight's reasonably large, so I had a pretty good view. And there was a lamp on inside the carriage as well, so I'm quite sure of what I saw.
This banker's latest statement. I feel sure there's something not quite right about it. Sorry, I just skipped past the tutorial shit there again. How long ago was chapter? Okay, yes. Okay, yes, we've seen this. It's because I just talked to him for the last time here. So, okay, yes. Gotcha. Repeating now the same stuff again. Whoa. So wordy. Back to it. And the final one. This is where we do it.
Objection!
Blood-soaked hands.
Well, I admit soaked might be laying it on a little thick, but anyway, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them were covered in it.
Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay, but that's more than a little peculiar.
What?
Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question.
Oh, yes, right.
And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there. But, as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right glove. In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent.
Yeah! But, no, that can't be right.
Oh, yeah. So you're the liar here, then?
Yeah!
That's right. You were quite clear about it. You said, it was both hands. You know, I like this jury system. I like these guys.
It's so weird.
Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You say you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth?
Objection!
It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it wasn't both hands. It was only one, but the fact remains. The victim's blood was on the accused. No, Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands, which means there's a strong possibility this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court. It's obvious, boys. He was too busy getting head from the fucking guy next to him.
Why, I'm a city banker, for pity's sake. My word should be the gold standard. I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe. Outstanding members of society don't prevaricate.
Prevaricate?
Prevaricate. Didn't we look that up last time?
No, we looked up something else.
He's claiming to have no reason to lie, but is that really the case?
Mr. Naruhodo, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn to the tide in this trial completely.
Something to show this man has compelling reason to lie in this testimony.
The book.
Yes, I know. My lord?
Yes, counsel.
Oh. Thank you, Dave.
Oh, there you go.
Invasive way.
Speak or act in an evasive way. The defense is ready to present evidence.
By Jove, are you sure?
Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had reason to lie in his testimony.
Gah! Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged deception of the court.
Oh, shoot. No. Yeah, that.
Take that!
This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded.
Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused's extortion.
The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay.
What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused? No. Well, it's barely worthy of being called a debt.
According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not an inconsiderable sum of money, wouldn't you say?
Well, what of it?
Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case?
These documents state the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed to him would be annulled. They would cease to exist.
Cease to exist?
Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw in a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant?
Bro! Order! Mr. Bruce Fairplay. Yes, my lord. Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you, or did you not, see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim?
Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony.
All right. Now let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth in a pinch. Just a pinch.
A pinch?
But it makes no difference.
I definitely remember seeing blood on McGilded's hands, both of them.
Objection!
And yet, only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained.
So you keep saying.
I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir.
Go ahead, Mr. First.
Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself, as it happens. Seeing what? The blood, sir, on the assailant's hands. I think, yes. I'm almost sure it was on both of his hands, not just one.
What? What?
What's going on here?
It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Yeah.
Mr. Naruhodo, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to have shifted slightly at last.
Yes. I might finally have a chance to turn things around here. What the witnesses really saw.
There was blood on both hands of the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that.
However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment of the stabbing transpire, if that matters. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both the attacker's hands with blood on them.
I didn't actually see anything myself. No, not until I heard that scream.
Anyway, the fact remains, there can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we all would have seen. Well, lo and behold, in truth of fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment of the crime was perpetrated. I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there's no one else inside that carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood.
I'm wondering.
That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying we saw the man do it.
Remember in the beginning, Mr. McGriddle said he was asleep. Was he? He's probably small enough to fit into storage compartment. He kept saying he has a small stature.
It's true, but I just don't know if it... I don't know. It just feels like it'd be a really weird place for him to be, but yeah, that might be a way for them to really shake up this case.
Yeah.
That's not what testimony is about.
Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more.
The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seat, corroborating the witnesses' accounts. Okay, here's that picture you wanted to see.
That also does make sense, because why is it on the seat and not on the back of the seat?
Yeah, it's true. Where the blood spatter is doesn't make any sense for this at all.
It doesn't make any sense.
Especially when you consider that his lap, he has a stonemason's apron on. Like literally, he has an apron that covers his upper legs.
First is a hat maker. He made the hat.
Oh, and he made this hat. Yeah, probably. Oh, boys, things are getting all twisty.
In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change in the facts of the case. Very well, your cross-examination, please. Counsel.
Yes, my lord.
There was blood on both hands of the assailant, and I sincerely and distinctly remember that.
Hold it!
No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record.
Well, I'm aware of that, sir, but nevertheless, I know what I saw and I stand by it. The man had blood on both his hands.
He's defiant, even in the face of hard evidence. He's steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw. But why?
Your reasoning is dire.
One hand or two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused's fingers. However, I suppose you might say I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters. Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental importance, as well you know. But for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could possibly have done it. I was just trying to save us all some time. You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? Had you hoped to release yourself from that financial burden by ensuring the defendant was found guilty? That's not what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea or 10 when I backed the wrong horse in the derby, that's all. I was going to win it all back. There is a fixture this weekend that it's a sure thing. A little guinea or 10? I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend.
Wow.
I think you may have revealed more about your character than you bargained for, sir. This witness's scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness. Is that really how it's supposed to work? I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both the attacker's hands with blood on them.
Hold it!
You definitely saw that too. Blood on both hands? Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Only one of Mr. McGilded's gloves has any signs of blood on it. That's right. The thing is, as far as I can remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGilded sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir.
He wasn't wearing any gloves.
He wasn't wearing these gloves? That's correct, sir, and I saw the blood on both his bare hands quite clearly. It's true that the dark-colored stain on the dark leather gloves wouldn't have been easy to see. I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilded's gloved hands. There wasn't blood on his hands. This is puzzling indeed. Oh, babe, I think we can reach the body. Rick is just letting me go out. This must be significant somehow. I'm sure of it.
I didn't actually see anything myself. No, not until I heard the scream.
Let's press. You didn't see anything?
Oh, yes, sir. That is to say, no, sir, I didn't. Very sorry about what I said before, sir. Very sorry, yes. It was very wrong of me to make up stories and say I saw him stab the man. Well, wouldn't you agree, sir?
I know what you're insinuating, but I clearly wasn't making up stories. Still, to say you saw nothing isn't right either, is it?
No, sir, I saw nothing at all.
Mr. Beppo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you must have enjoyed a good view of London's streets, no? Oh, please, you didn't even see that?
It was so cold that night, you see. It was all I could do keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my head was fairly frozen solid, sorry to say, sir.
It would seem prudent. to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. Beppo! Anyway, the fact remains there can't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or else we all would have seen. Okay, yes, inside. Am I able to present this, or no? Okay. But I could just present the carriage.
Objection!
Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight in the floor of the upper deck, is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, there is a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you. What? By golly, really? Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure, but the possibility cannot be denied that at the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nihonese friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh. Very well. I will uphold the prosecution's demand. You will identify the area on this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting that this potential extra passenger could have been situated?
Take that!
Both rows of seats on the roof face in the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means the visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, is as I've drawn here. Oh! That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite... Okay, this is just so weirdly voyeuristic looking. Like, why? This is just... Like, you just look up and there's just, like, fucking people's, like, legs and crotches up there. Shit, what the fuck, man? The seat opposite the one on which the victim and his attacker were sitting is obscured from view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible that these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. Gah!
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting there. You Nihonese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude.
Can you, Mr. Naruhodo?
I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? Who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witness? Crap. I don't think we have this knowledge. What do you think about everybody who's been spoken about so far? Let's go, Wumbo. That's exactly what I was thinking too.
You put yourself on a bind, yo.
As far as I can tell, we actually can't say yet. Wait, no.
Oh, do you have something?
Yeah, weren't we saying actually that we think it may be Mr. McGilded himself?
He was asleep though, so he wouldn't know.
I understand, my lord. The defense would like to put forward a name. He got another chalice. You are a fool. Well, that response was a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learnt.
Let us not delay, Counsel. The defense is still to name the passenger in the other seat.
This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting to turn the trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in the Omnibus cabin that was obscured from view was...
Take that!
The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has to have been Mr. Magnus McGilded. Mr. McGilded?
What are you talking about, Counsel? That's the name of the defendant.
Objection!
Oh, fuck.
If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hallowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy. Lord Van Zieks!
People talk of those tiny island nations in the Far East as having a learning and culture of their own, but I see they use the terms ill-advisedly. What are you trying to say? Let me explain in terms that even a student of an artless backwater such as yourself might understand. Wow. Wow, this game is horrendous. When the bloody scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to the fact. It's the very premise on which this case is built. But that premise may be wrong. What? If the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded, it creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way.
What inconsistency, Counsel?
He's getting tired. He's ready for bed. The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. We got stuff? Okay. They claim that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both witnesses have maintained their stance.
Yes, their testimony remains unchanged.
Exactly. They both adamantly swear that they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands. Both
Objection!
of them. And who was this third party? Obviously, the true culprit. Extraordinary. Order. What exactly are you postulating?
Objection!
The defense's postulation is just that. Nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused.
Objection!
But when elaborating on his testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. Yes. The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them, though. Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir. And what particular styles of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First? I'm afraid I don't remember. Did you call yourself a hatter? The style of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in that cabin. How can you be sure? Because if there had been, the accused, Mr. McGilded, would undoubtedly have offered to depose the fact. Unless, that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed even to notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled.
He was asleep.
He's right. If there was another person traveling in the closed cabin of the Omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it. Order! There is clearly a simple solution to this problem. Bring the accused, Mr. McGilded, to the stand. Well, what say you, counsel? The prosecution objects, my lord. On what grounds? As a suspect, he will have already made a full statement to the police. But what if there's some reason why he's unable to speak freely? Magnus McGilded is no uneducated ruffian. If it indeed turns out the man has been withholding information, you can be sure it will have been a most deliberate act. Counsel for the defense, what is your opinion? My lord, did we ask Mr. McGill to testify or not? Yes, we need to hear what he has to say in order to find out the truth. The defense would like to call Mr. McGilded to the stand. In that case, I would like to hear the opinion of the jury. Yes, sir. I need a little time to consider this.
Yes. If you ask me, I think we should hear what Mr. McGilded has to say.
Get the man out here, I say.
Ding. It would be utterly illogical not to hear his testimony.
For real, could you imagine a fucking murder trial where you don't even ask to hear from the suspect on stand? When something needs doing, get it done. That's how I run things at the guild.
Hearing what the patron of my favorite little park has to say? Oh yes, that would be lovely.
Yes, the jury says the man must be heard. Very well, the court will hear the defendant's testimony. Bailiff, show the defendant to the stand at once. Dots. Now, maybe what actually happened that night will finally become clear. Yeah, get these 3 jokers out of my way at least for now. Oh god, no, they're gonna be there. It's gonna be a 4-man thing. Let the proceedings be resumed. But that's where I'm going to call it for the night.
Oh.
I'm able to... Oh, yeah, here we go. Record. This round and round way of finding justice is like trying to get a Warrior Cats book to progress. See. Anyway, let's put on some chiptune music and head on over to the... Dogs are playing over there. Anyway, boys, thanks for watching. This was another episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We played for much longer than I was expecting us to. Cody Cat, thanks for watching. As always, Reika, we had somebody on YouTube, so that may have been Baylands or something. I'm not certain.
My Twitch is crashing, so.
Okay. Reika's Twitch is crashing. We're going to make this fast then. If you're new around here, you haven't followed yet, why don't you give me a follow on Twitch? That especially would help. Also, I'm not opposed to like a subscription or a like, you know, all that kind of stuff. You can even tickle the bells if you want to. Show them a little love. For everybody else, no matter who you are, where you are, or whenever the hell you're watching this.
Thanks for watching.
Yes. Stay safe out there, guys. Love you.
Bye-bye.